Right. So welcome to today's webinar about the fundamentals of intelligent document processing, IDP. My name is Sara. I'll be hosting today's webinar, and just some administrative things. Please, if you have questions, the webinar is here to answer your burning questions about IDP. Ask them in the Q&A section of the webinar, and I will try to answer as many as I can towards the end of the webinar. Exactly. So my name is Sara. I've been with Acodis for over 3 years in various roles. Right now, I'm a customer success manager, so I make sure that all our customers are happy, that we can onboard them as quickly as possible, and then that they stay happy and we can provide the best service for them in the world of IDP. Exactly. So the agenda is very, very short. Basically, I have 10 questions that I would like to answer for you around IDP, and then I'll answer whatever question you pose in the Q&A section. You can already start asking questions there. We will make sure that maybe I'll answer some along the way, but I make sure that we answer as many as possible at the end. So with that, let's get started. I think question number one is, what is IDP, right? What is intelligent document processing? So I think we've all heard of data extraction. And so what is the difference to IDP? I think IDP is a bit more all-encompassing. So yes, we extract data from documents. Yes, we automatically classify documents. So am I looking at a contract, or am I looking at a love letter, or am I looking at an invoice, so that the machine can automatically classify those documents? And then what sort of data points would I like to have extracted from the document? And then also, where should the document go? Are there some checks I need to make so that the data that is extracted can be automatically validated? And I think all of this is best explained or named with IDP, so the intelligent document processing. So it's not just, moving one of those stacks of papers you can see on the right from left to right, but actually doing something at least, partially intelligent with it. Exactly. So I think that's a very basic definition of what IDP is, and we will get more into why it makes sense to use IDP. So next question is, why do I need IDP? I think IDP is always useful if you spend a lot of time doing manual, cumbersome tasks involving documents. And documents here can be like a physical paper, but it can also be a PDF, it can be emails, it can be Excel sheets, it can be, pictures of stuff. I think we've all sent crooked pictures of insurance claims to our insurance. So, all of these. And you need it as soon as you need to have information that is locked into the documents, but you would like to have it in your ERP, you would like to have it, just so you can process it further. And then IDP makes sense, right? So whenever you have also a big volume, so if you just do it once a week, it's not that much of a bother. But if you have to do it for 2 hours a day, so that just so you can get started on working, then it makes sense to work with IDP. Exactly. We'll get more into what we can do then if we use it actually. So what type of documents does IDP help with? Before I mentioned contracts, I mentioned insurance policies, I mentioned invoices. So basically, we can process whatever document type you have, right? As long as it is useful to you. We have clients where we process a whole book series. We have clients where we process contracts, but we also have clients where we process purchase orders, for example, or custom documents. So whenever you want to bring goods into Switzerland, you need to declare it at the customs, and it's a lot of documents and it needs to be correct, and it's very tiring to do it manually. So we try to help our clients there and make it A, quicker, B, more interesting for their employees, and also easier to check whether it's correct or not. Because a human easily makes mistakes when they have to copy paste 80 pages worth of custom details. We will get to it. The system might also make mistakes, but we can find them and isolate them quicker. Question number 4, which we get a lot, is how is it different? So it's being IDP from OCR or RPA or all of these other softwares that are out there. So how is it different from OCR? OCR is very basic, right? You have a scan and you make it machine readable. So you basically turn pixels into letters or characters or numbers. And then you can do a full text search. So you can look for Sara in a document, but you will find all instances of Sara, and you might also find, if you're familiar with the bank, Sara. So you'll also find these, although you're not interested in them, you just want to look for me. And so OCR is a great tool to start with, but it's it's rather not smart, and you don't know which information is yet, and that's where IDP comes into play. RPA stands for Robotic Process Automation, and it actually sometimes IDP then helps RPA being put into place. So in RPA, you just automate a process, but that doesn't have to be with documents, and usually it's very strict. You can think of it like a cooking recipe. You tell the computer what it has to do, and then it just follows the steps. First, you take the spaghetti out of the packaging, and then you boil the water, and then you add the salt, and then you put the spaghetti into the water. And after 7 or 8 minutes, you take it out because you like your spaghetti very al dente. But should, for whatever reason, the pot look different, where your water is boiling, or you're on higher altitude, so the water boils at a different temperature, then you run into all sorts of problems with which RPA usually cannot handle, because it follows instructions, which can be good, which can also be a bit cumbersome. So those are the main differences between IDP and OCR. So OCR is a good starting point because we need to see the letters on the page in order to be able to extract them. And RPA can be a great tool to then integrate whatever information we extracted into the next system where it needs to be processed further. With that, we're already at question number 5, which is, okay, now I would like to have an IDP system. How do I set it up? And with us, or in our case, with Acodis, it's very easy. You tell us you would like to have one. We'll have a negotiation about price and stuff. And then you get a platform where basically it's a non-code platform where everyone, you don't have to be a machine learning expert. You can train your system. We need to show the system, look, this is the document. Those are the data points we would like to have extracted. And then we say, well, in our case, we absolutely need to have an address, and we need to have a delivery date. So those fields are mandatory, but whether or not you find a certain product number is not as important. So, if you find it, great. If you don't find it, it's also fine. The document can be further processed without the article number. And then we can also, once we have basically a baseline of what the system needs to be doing, we can start using it productively. And then should we find that it is somewhat lacking in quality, we can just add to the training set. We can show, look, this you didn't get it completely right. So we'll add it to the training set so you can see how it should be done in the future. So it's very easy. Usually it doesn't take more than 2-3 weeks. And what is also important is we don't, usually it doesn't involve the IT department for anything apart from the integration into your system. And that is usually very easily done, via API or FTP servers. So it's it's not a big, digital transformation project, which will take months to set up and, involves all of the IT department and everyone in business and everyone else as well. So it can be done in a lean and fast manner, which is good because you want it to be up and running very quickly so you can, profit from the system. Then the big question, does it make mistakes? And the answer is absolutely yes. We all make mistakes, and sometimes also a machine learning system makes mistakes. It would be, if it's 100% correct, it's suspicious. But usually there are some mistakes, but that's not a big problem because we get well into the range of humans. We humans tend to make more mistakes than the IDP system does. And the IDP system has lots of mechanisms where you can, just check what went wrong or check for the possibility of mistakes. For example, to go back to the article number, on a purchase order, if we need it, we can go check in our client system, well, does this article number exist? And if not, then we obviously have made a mistake. Or a different example would be, so how does the total add up? Different positions and the total, does it make sense? Is it mathematically correct? That's something very easy to check. And as soon as all of these checks are like green or good, then the system knows, well, I didn't make a mistake. And if it made a mistake, we catch it very early. We can tell a human to look over it and make sure that it is corrected before it goes into the system of our clients. Now, who is actually using IDP? Usually, or we have clients ranging through almost all industries or lots of industries. So we have clients in logistics, where we help with customs. We have clients in the banking world, where we process pay slips. We have clients in the public sector, where we help with Amtsblätter. So that's a document where the government can tell you like what happened, or what did they decide and stuff like that. And then we also have clients in the archive world. So there's lots and lots of interesting information about historical things or buildings and decisions by governments and so on and so forth, which are locked into these old documents, and it's hard to search them for the right information. So we try to make them available for as many people as are interested. And so that's just from a company's perspective. And then within a company, as I said, the IT department is usually not as involved, but sometimes the data science team is involved because they need to get to the data to be able to conduct experiments and do their job. Then sometimes we work with the sustainability department, because we have a client where they wanted to know how sustainable are they with their real estate portion of the company, and they had no idea how big their CO2 footprint is. So we helped them by reading out the electrical bills. So we know for each building how much energy, what type of energy, over which period of time did they pay for and thus use. So we can help them do their job, right? We know we can extract the data from the electrical bills and then provide them to the sustainability team to make sure or to find out how big their CO2 footprint is, and then deduct steps on how to become greener. Yeah, so the answer is to who is using IDP is, it can be anyone, anyone with lots of documents and the information locked into them. Then a big question is, how much time does one really save? And that very much depends on the type of document. But we have had clients who did their internal calculation of how much time did they save, and sometimes it is up to 80%. So they can, we have one client where a human takes up to 2 days to process the document. And with us, it's only an hour. So we do some processing and then the human has to correct some of it. And all of that takes about an hour. So I think that is a lot of time saved in this case. And it depends. If a human is really fast, then we might be a bit faster, but not a whole lot. But one can definitely save time. And it's also, people have an education, they have an expert background knowledge on something. And usually it is, that's not copy pasting, from a PDF to an ERP system, but what they then do with the this knowledge in the ERP system. So I think yes, it saves a lot of time, but it also makes sure that you can actually focus on what is your expertise in a certain area rather than copy pasting. So second to last question, what about handwriting? So handwriting is can be a difficult topic. We talked before about OCR. OCR is for machine written text. And then there's ICR, which is for handwriting. One can recognize handwriting, but it is by no means perfect. And as you can imagine, that there are, 8 billion people on the planet, there's also quite a few different handwritings. And sometimes it's legible, sometimes it's not very legible. And if a human has problems reading something, the machine will definitely have problems. So yes, we can do handwriting to a certain extent, but it is by no means close to machine written text. So there will be further research, and it should get better and better with time, but not tomorrow, more years to come. Which leads us to the last question that I have prepared today. What is next for IDP? So I think handwriting, the ICR, is definitely something that will have to be solved in the near future, or better solved than it is right now. And then something else is that there will be more and more generic models, so that we have a pre-trained model where you can just throw out any type of document and it will deliver reasonable results back with the extracted data, or it will make suggestions on, look, I found this, and this data point. Are you actually interested in this? I'll extract it for you. I think those are the two main points, what is next. And then, we will see what the future brings. It is definitely a very interesting area to work in. And I think we will go and see from there. So now I already see that we have some questions in the Q&A section. So I think I'll switch to this screen and then we'll open the Q&A. Exactly. So one question is, can we process languages other than German and English? Of course, we can process basically any language where there is OCR to. So yeah, we deal best with things that are written from left to right, so as in German or English. But we've also processed documents in Chinese, for example, which is, at least for us, very different. Exactly. So then there's another question about line items on invoices. So line items are, let's say I order something from somewhere, and then I have, 5 socks and 1 pair of pants and bag of oranges and whatever else I ordered. So these are the line items. And now I said 5 socks, so the quantity is 5. What I ordered is socks, and then the price, for all these 5 socks. And yes, we can extract all of these line items if we have trained the system to do so. Exactly. And in doing so, we can reconcile the order or the invoice with the order if we are allowed to speak to the respective systems where the invoice or the order can be found. I hope that answered the question. Now the question is, how much can it be automated? It can be super automated if you would like to have it super automated, or more hands-on. But I mean, the idea would be that it is, once you set up your system, that it is, documents can be sent via IPA to our system or any IDP system, and then you get the answer via API back. And so that it's not a manual drag and drop up and down, and it's not a, you don't need to send an email with the documents to us. So it is can be highly automated, or it should be, I think, if we want to save time. But then there's always like the quality checks. So if we are not 100% sure something is correct, then there's when the hands-on part comes in again, because a human has to look over it. But that's something that our clients can say. The extent of it is defined by our clients on how automated or not automated they would like it to have. And then one question is whether we developed our own IDP systems, and yes, we did. There are some parts, like in all software, you don't need to invent the wheel again, but most of it is our own development. Exactly. Then there's one question where someone would like to know a concrete client example. And I think I hinted at some, but I think the purchase orders is something where we have quite a few clients who are doing or using us to process purchase orders. So in this case, the purchase orders are sent to our system. We extract everything which the client is interested in. So article number, the description, the weight of the thing that has been ordered, and also the delivery date, the order date, and then the total amount of price. And there we do an extensive amount of checks to make sure that the clients of our client don't actually do get what they ordered, and not just some random things. So we check the article numbers, we check the total balance of all articles, and and then we send it to SAP, and from there the order is sent to the client of our client. Exactly. So right now we don't have any more questions coming in. I'll wait for a second because we have four more minutes until the half hour is up, and I want to be respectful of your time. Exactly. But it seems that I have answered all of your questions. That is great. Exactly. So the purchase order example that I just made is from Wärtsilä on the top left. Exactly, those are some of our other clients. And with that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. I think we're all fine if we stop a little earlier. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer more questions or more specific questions if you have a use case in mind. And with that, I wish you, well, if it is lunchtime for you, I wish you a very great lunch, and otherwise have a good day, rest of the day, and have a good week. Thank you for paying attention, and I hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.